Yeah, the more you study scripture, the more you come to realize that not everything is what it seems, and there is always more to a picture than meets the eye. I mean, the same thing goes for what I've been saying about that sex is marriage, right? I mean, if you haven't stumbled upon my video, you would have never fathomed that sex is marriage, that you can't have one without the other. Sometimes you need to step outside of a congregation, do your own personal studies to see truth, to see things clearly. You have to step back to see things clearly. Is there such a thing as a good lie? Obviously, there's such a thing as a bad lie. Generally, we see lies as bad. But is there such a thing as a good lie? We know the devil is called the father of the lie. When he's called the father of the lie, it doesn't mean that because he's the father of the lie, that all lies henceforth are bad. There was a king named Ahab, a king of Israel. He wasn't a king of Judah, he was a king of Israel. He was a very bad king. His wife was Jezebel. You all know Queen Jezebel. I don't want to say too much to not keep this video long, but basically there was a meeting in the heavens, and Yehowah asked his sons a question. He said, who will fool Ahab? And there was going to be a war, and Yehowah wanted to know who could fool Ahab so that they could get him to die, so that he could be killed, right? That tells you something. Why didn't God just strike him and kill him? No, but he wanted one of his sons to fool him, to trick him into getting himself killed. There's something behind that. But you should probably look it up for yourself as to why God did that and why God didn't take his life. Because God can just take his life, right? But God asked his sons, who will fool Ahab? Wicked King Ahab, right? And one spirit came to him, said one thing. Another spirit came to him and said another thing. Finally, one spirit came to him and said, I will fool him. And then Yehowah asked him, how would you do it? And then the angel said, I will act as a deceptive spirit to one of his prophets, to one of the false prophets. And I will fool him into going into war. And I will trick him, and he will ask me, will I succeed in the war? Will I live if I go to the war? And the spirit will lie to him and tell him, yeah, you'll live when you go to the war. Meanwhile, the truth is that he will die. So bottom line, that's a lie, right? He's going to fool Ahab. He's going to lie to him. He's going to trick him into going into war so that he will actually die, when in fact the spirit is going to tell him that he's going to live. But that spirit is a spirit of God. It's not a fallen angel. It's not a demon. It's not a demonic spirit. This is an angel in heaven who is speaking to Yehowah and is telling Yehowah that this is what I'm going to do. And what did Yehowah tell the angel? He said, go and do just as you have said, because you will be successful, right? So the angel went and did exactly that. But there was a true prophet there at that meeting when Ahab was there. And that prophet, King Jehoshaphat, was there. Now, King Jehoshaphat is a king of Judah, and he is a loyal servant of Yehowah. But let me give you a side point. God sent a prophet to Jehoshaphat later on to tell Jehoshaphat that there is indignation from Yehowah against Jehoshaphat because of his friendship with Ahab, right? Because Jehoshaphat is a good person, he's a good man. And in the war that Ahab died, Jehoshaphat was going to be killed too, but Jehoshaphat called to the true God and God saved him and he wasn't killed. And it was after, when he came back from the battle, that's when God sent a prophet to tell Jehoshaphat that, listen, your friendship with Ahab, the friendship that you had with Ahab, because Ahab now is dead, right? But the friendship that you had with Ahab, there was indignation against you because of that friendship, because this is a king that does not love God, right? But that's just a side point. But Jehoshaphat was there at that meeting, and there was a prophet. I don't remember the prophet's name. I want to say Micah, but let me not be presumptuous, right? There was a prophet there of the true God. He was the only true prophet there. And Ahab didn't want to listen to that prophet. But Jehoshaphat told him, so these are two kings together, right? Ahab and Jehoshaphat. Now Jehoshaphat is telling Ahab, don't say something like that you don't want to hear the word of a prophet of Yehowah. Like, don't say something like that. Like, what's wrong with you, right? But Ahab had no respect for Yehowah, so he could utter that against a prophet of God. And he said that, I don't like the messages of this prophet because everything he says about me is bad and there's nothing that's ever good. And then Jehoshaphat said, no, still listen to what he has to say. And what did the prophet say? The prophet said, if you go into the battle, you will surely die. And then Ahab said, see, didn't I tell you that this prophet always has something bad to say and never something good? Right? And then one of the prophets of Ahab came in and punched the prophet of Yehowah in the face and said, from where did the spirit of Yehowah move from me to come and tell you the truth? The spirit told me that he's going to live. So why is it that the spirit is telling you that he's going to die? Right? And then the prophet, the true prophet of Yehowah, told him, you will find out from which way he came to me when your master goes to war and dies in battle. Right? He's basically being sarcastic. You're going to find out which way he came to me when you find out that what I've been saying all along is true. When your master goes to war and he doesn't come back. Right? Then you will know who's the true prophet. And then Ahab was scared now, and he asked his prophets again, like, is it true? Will I be successful in war? And they're like, no, you will be successful. Go out in war. You'll be successful. Don't listen to this man, right? And then the true prophet of Yehowah said, okay, well, if he does come back from war, if he doesn't die, but he does indeed come back from war, then the true God has not spoken to me. But you will see that he has spoken to me when your master falls in battle. I don't know why I gave y'all the whole gist of basically what happened in that scenario. But the point is that the spirit of Yehowah came to this man, this false prophet of Ahab, to fool him. And how did he fool him? By lying. So not all lies are bad. The point is that if Yehowah is backing it, it is not a bad lie. The reason why the devil's lie was bad, obviously, is because he slandered God's character. You can't do that, right? He went against God. He went behind God's back, even though you can't go behind God's back. Literally, you can't, right? But there are good lies. For example, if Christians are being persecuted, right? Let me give you a real life example. You remember during the Nazis, the Jews were being persecuted, right? But there was a group there that was being persecuted that did not need to be persecuted because they were not Jews. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. They wore the purple triangle. Look it up. It's called the purple triangle. All they had to do was sign their name on a piece of paper denouncing Jehovah or Yehowah, and they'll be set free. That's all they had to do, and they'll be free. The Jews, they were there because they had to be there because, Hitler was against the Jews, period. They couldn't leave. They couldn't sign their name. No, they had to be there. But the Jehovah's Witnesses, they didn't have to be there because they were not Jews. They were just being persecuted along with the Jews because of their serving Yehowah, the same God that the Jews served. Okay? All they had to do was just sign their name on the dotted line. That's it. And a few did, but most did not. During that time, there were witnesses who were not captured, but they were being hidden in certain rooms, right? So these Nazis, they're looking for Jews and they're looking for Jehovah's Witnesses. It tells you something about Jehovah's Witnesses. And the world hates them. There are a few, and their doctrines against the Trinity, against Christmas, against hellfire, against Easter is the truth. Okay, but let's stay on topic. Now, these witnesses, some of them were being hidden in rooms. And when the Nazis came to knock on doors, when they heard that perhaps there may be witnesses in these houses, they came and they knocked on the doors. And the men there or the family there would lie and say that, no, there aren't any Jehovah's Witnesses here. Now, that's a good lie, because that lie is for what purpose? To save the life of their fellow man, to save the life of these Christians. So not all lies are bad. And when it's for the sake of saving a person's life, remember, man was not made for the law. The law was made for the man. So the man's life is above the law. So even if there's a law that says you must not lie, if you are going to lie to protect your neighbor, then it is a good lie. So there is a difference there is a good lie and there is a bad lie. There was another point that I wanted to make, that as long as God is behind it, is also a good lie. Oh yes. Now the commandments. You remember I made a video speaking about how the 10 commandments are the all in all, is like the holy grail of the laws, right? There's 2 laws, the Mosaic law and the 10 commandments. In the 10 commandments, it doesn't say thou shalt not lie. It says thou shalt not bear false witness against thy brother. It's a very big difference. So you can lie, but it has to be a lie that's, I guess you would have to be the judge of what a good lie is and a bad lie is. But obviously, lies in general are not good because it is something that is not true. But here it is, the angel of Yehowah says something that was not true intentionally to cause a man to die. But it was a good lie because God was backing it. So at face value, you would think all lies are bad, but that is not the case. And the same thing is, this is a classic example of let me give you another example of why most Christians do not understand the mind of God. Remember, God is above the ways of man as the heavens are above the earth. Okay? If this is the earth, our ways are here. God's ways are, forget about it. It's way above us. So there is more to it than when we say a lie is bad. There is much more to it. Okay, when we say that you can't have sex before marriage, no, there is way more to it than just that. Sex is marriage. Okay, there is more to something than what you think it is. More people will survive Armageddon than what you think. Now, that's another one, okay? It's not every bad person that you think is going to die at Armageddon. God searches the heart. There is more to it than meets the eye. But what was the other thing that I wanted to say? Like, for example, you would say all men are equal in the eyes of God, right? As a Christian, you would say all men are equal. I am the same as you. You are the same as me. Right? All men are equal. No one is greater than the other. But that's not true. That's not true. God could see you as a better person than me, even though we both serve him. Yeshua said, whoever is the least of you, whoever is the most humble out of you, will be the greatest in the kingdom of my Father. So in heaven, there are better angels. If the devil never sinned, there would be other angels that are better than him, because he would have a deviance in his heart, but he did not carry it out. Meanwhile, there's another angel who did not have a deviance in his heart, and so he doesn't have to carry out anything bad. If the devil never sinned, there will be other angels. He would be sinless, right? But still, there will be better angels than him because he still has that thing within him. He just hasn't acted it out. The third of the angels who came down and disobeyed God and slept with the daughters of men, if they didn't do that, right? If they never sinned and they were still in heaven, the angels that did not leave God at all, they are better than those third angels who left. You understand? Whoever is the least of us will be the greatest in the kingdom of God. There are better people than others. Not all persons are the same. It is not a sin for you to think that way. Not everything is what it seems. In paradise, on earth, some humans will be better than others. Even though we're all perfect, we're all equal, some are still better than others. Let me give another example. David was a better man than Saul. Was he not? God said this. God told Saul, I have found a man better than you, a man who is after my own heart. You could be in a congregation where everybody serves Jehovah, right? But then there is that one person in there who loves God with all their heart. That person is a better person than his companions. He is. It's not wrong for you to say that. He is a better person. Period. Okay? Look beyond what your pastors teach you and what what these Christian doctrines teach you. No, there is always more to a picture, because God is, just know there's always more to the picture. So I hope this opens your eyes to help you see that there is more to the picture than meets the eye, period. That's it. Peace. Later. Now let me add this. I got my headphones on because I watched the video back. I always watch the video back to make edits or whatever. But since I mentioned Jehovah's Witnesses, I know some people will be like, what? Jehovah's Witnesses, man? This guy, is he serious? Jehovah's Witnesses? Don't he know that Jehovah's Witnesses have doctored the Bible? Don't he know about Charles Taze Russell, that he was part of the Freemasons and this, that, and the third? Listen, didn't I just tell y'all that there is more to a story than meets the eye? That there's always more to something than meets the eye? Didn't I just tell y'all that? Let me help you to understand something about everyone and their mother who likes to speak against Jehovah's Witnesses. First of all, they bear God's name. Just understand it. They bear God's name. And I also told you a few moments ago that they were persecuted along with the Jews because they worship the same God of the Jews, the same God of the Hebrews, the same God of the Bible. Okay? They were the first group to put God's name back in the Bible when it was removed through the influence of the devil from the Bible. Know that. Know that. Okay? I don't care what problems they may have in their organization. The Israelites were God's own chosen people. How many times did they fall into paganism? How many times did they do things that God hated, but they were still chosen by God, were they not? Here's a group of people. They are fallible. They are humans. They can make mistakes. Charles Taze Russell was not a perfect man. But since when did God choose perfect people to bring about truth? Disregard these stupid things that you hear about Jehovah's Witnesses. That is besides the point. Because if you're going to factor that in and say that they are not God's chosen people, or that God is not using them because of their, minor flaws about 1914 that Christ has begun to rule, sure, they are wrong when it comes to certain prophecies. But understand that God's own actual people, the Israelites, had numerous flaws, but they were still being used by God. And God did say that he would turn his attention back to the Hebrews, the natural Jews, in the last days. Disregard certain things, because there is always more than what meets the eye. The basic doctrines of the Jehovah's Witnesses, the God they serve, the name they use, the teachings against the hellfire, the teachings against Christmas, the teachings against Halloween and Easter and birthday celebrations, the teachings against Christmas, the teachings against hellfire, the teachings that not every good person is going to go to heaven, but some will remain on the earth and live on the earth and fill the earth and fulfill God's purpose for mankind, which is to be on the earth. Their basic teachings are true. And when you study the Bible, you see that they are not wrong. So when the world is against them and they hate them, and they are the ones who are going door to door, knocking and preaching and trying to start Bible studies, know that there is more to it than what meets the eye. That you say, 1914, Charles Taze Russell, the pedophilia that goes on in the organization. Granted, these things happen, sure. But disregard that and look at the teachings that they have, which is why the devil has made sure that you would not listen to them, right? Because of the little flaws that they have. There is always more that meets the eye. But this video is not about Jehovah's Witnesses, so let me not, or I already got into it, but I didn't intend to, but I wanted to make sure that you got that straight. But don't say nobody told you, because I've just told you. So, all right, peace.